Hey everyone, hope you've been doing well. I've just been kind of busy navigating the open air asylum we exist in. I kind of feel bad when I don't upload every day, but it is what it is. And today I can continue the Dumb Shit Natalists Say series. Can't remember which number this is, but I really this sentiment it's this is how people tell on themselves. To me, this is how people expose themselves. Because growing up, you always hear, if if your friends decided to go walk off a cliff, would you follow them? And yet, we're being told this by people who, like, they're not even walking off a cliff. They're already off the cliff. They don't even realize it, but they're trying to scramble on top of one another to get back to the edge of the cliff, right? This is beyond walking off the edge of a cliff, right? And it's something like lately, especially, parents will bring you here, right? They'll give birth to you and then guilt trip you into being here and staying here, right? Like you've seen those UN ads for like children starving in Ethiopia or something, or like the Congo, right? Dollar a day type thing. And it's especially telling because, in an African like household, right? Let's say, to be fair, I don't actually believe that there's such a thing as a middle class. You're either owned or you're the owners, right? But let's just use the term middle class, right? So like in your country, there's like millions of people like starving to death right now. And yet, not only did your parents bring you into this environment, they perpetually guilt trip you like, oh, some kid his ribs is showing, so you should be grateful that you're eating. This logic, like, it's one of those things, once you examine it, it doesn't even hold up. It really doesn't. You mean to tell me you see this misery, you see these children suffering, but it makes more sense to you to guilt trip your child into also seeing them suffer and not being able to do anything about it? Do you see how sickening that is? Parents talk to us about peer pressure, yet who pressured you to bring these children here, right? That could also be peer pressure. It could be elder pressure. I don't care. Whatever you want to put on it. Who made you do it? It's your biological impulses, right? And these same biological impulses, they will attempt to sexually repress their own children, right? The same biological impulses you gave into to bring these children here are the same ones that you're going to repress in them, right? Starting them off real nicely, right? This current culture we're living in is a direct result of that cultural repression. That's what it is. People lament about, traditional values and they took God out of the schools. Fuck your God, first of all. He's that impotent to be taken out of schools, but he's everywhere at the same time? Pathetic. Second of all, this situation happened, and it's no shock that the uptick in like consumerism happened after the Second World War, right? Because it was pretty much just a doomsday mentality everywhere for like, okay, let's say since the late 1930s up till the mid 1940s, it was just doomsday. That's the only thing people had in the back of their minds. But then after that, they had a 45-year Cold War on top of that. And you just had people, all kinds of like, again, the sexual revolution and all that. Like, I personally think the 70s were probably worse than now. It's just that they didn't have social media, and there's a lot more people now. But I personally think, like, in terms of like the degeneracy, Like the sexual degeneracy, it was definitely the 70s and the 80s, for sure, for sure. But even then, right? And that's the funny thing. A lot of our parents were in their 20s and their 30s during those times, right? You know, are you really sure? Heck, even just putting your grandparents in there, right? You're really sure none of them has never like just lined up, like just cut up like a line of coke at one point in their life? Are you really, really sure? Right? You're really sure? It's just it keeps me. It really keeps me. How do I say it? I tend to just listen to people as they are now, right? Because someone's mindset is usually fixed forever, right? It usually is. You can learn a lot. You can try and undo it, but eventually you're just going to do what you've always been conditioned to do, unless you have like some like superhuman will or something. Most people aren't going to change. And I was watching a video by Abba and Preach about how they envy religious people. And a lot of I shared a lot of their sentiments. In fact, like they're one reason I actually started my YouTube channel. I love their channel. They aren't. I think Preach is 40. Abba is like 37 or 38. But to me, that's what mature people sound like when they talk. When they bring up their topics or whatever it is, or share each other's perspective. That's what mature people sound like to me. And they were talking about how somebody could be 71, like in their 70s right now, and like since they were a baby they've been going to church regularly, like for 70 plus years. And and Abba said, is there anything, right? I'll even ask you guys the same question. Is there anything that you can then you can confidently say that you've done consistently every week, like once a day, every week, to socialize with other human beings since you were like a child? We talk about how religion itself is brainwashing and all that, and I agree. That's, to me, this is why when I meet certain religious people and they're genuinely good people, sometimes I'm like, yeah, the way they use religion is pretty good. The wording itself might be, the content itself might be trash, but if somebody actually believes in helping other human beings and in being good to other people and all that, and they base it off of their own religious understanding, I think that's pretty good, to be honest. What more can you really ask from a person, right? Because I have met like really like very kind people, right? Even like Muslims, Christians, very genuine people, right? Just very nice people and giving people, right? I might think their ideology is trash, but I don't think they are trash, right? And more to the point, how far off the cliff did they have to fall before realizing that you've birthed your kids here to push them off like the most obvious cliff everybody knows about? Earning a living, right? What the? Oh. Oh. Life is a gift, but you have to earn a living too. Isn't that insane? Life is a gift, but you have to earn your living. This is why they say the devil's in the details, because they're saying it right there. That literally they're telling you, okay, yeah, it's a gift, but you're gonna have to earn this gift. You're gonna have to earn your key. Like, what the hell, man? Talk about throwing, like, natalists throw their children off cliffs every day. Think about how many births happen in a day. Forget how many deaths happen in a day. People are still giving birth in this fucked up reality. They throw their children off cliffs every day. What the hell are you going to tell them when they're like age 12 or 13 about not following their friends off a cliff? You threw them off that cliff to begin with. Natalists see their children turning bad and thinking, oh, how could this happen? It's not peer pressure. Maybe your child was the peer pressure to begin with, right? They didn't go and get corrupted somewhere, but ultimately, you dumb fucks are the biggest peer pressure to your own children. Because it made so much sense to you that, okay, your life is pretty decent, so you'll just assume that your children will also have the same decent, like, unless, as I always say, you're in the ruling class, I don't see why people even have children. I really don't. It boggles my mind. People in the ruling class can have as many kids as they want because they own everything. Their children are just going to inherit it and keep ruling. But yeah, don't listen to your friends. They'll lead you off a cliff, right? There can be complete strangers who treat you better than your own family, and it happens so often. So often. You try telling like a boomer about finding a job in this current economy. Heck, the economy from like the last 20 years easily. Finding a job in the economy for the last 20 years has just been a game of like throwing darts and hoping it lands somewhere. Yeah, fine. You can probably find some like something in like the hospitality or food service type thing. Egregious jobs, honestly. Horrible experiences. But again, if you're actually looking for career progression or upward mobility, that's a dream. That died. That's a dead dream. That's dead. They are literally beating a dead horse. The horse is decomposing, and they're just like, why aren't you riding? Why aren't you riding it? That's literally that's what I hear. That's what I hear. And it's crazy because natalism has driven natalism itself has now created a subset of antinatalism just out of how greedy the system has been. The decline in birth rates in Western countries has been a result of just how expensive it is to raise one child. Because you have to fund their entire lives. Yeah, they have to fund them until age 18. Although realistically nowadays it's like age 24, 25, right? Food, medical expenses. Personally, if I had any say, if you bring a child here, you're funding them till that child dies. I don't care if they die at age 5 or 50. You brought them here, they're your responsibility. There's no, like, I would not let them get off that easy, right? I would love for such a law to happen. You bring a child here, you fund them for life. Because they didn't ask you to come here. They didn't ask you to turn them into a wage slave, right? It would literally force people to think so hard. Because how are they going to argue against it? Well, you can't make me pay for my child's entire life. That's unfair. What can they possibly say, right? You don't want to pay for a child's living expenses for life, don't have them, right? Simple. Simple. I know, but it's very idealistic thinking. I know. I know. Yeah. That's I guess that's what it really wasn't going to be a long one today. Guess I'm just getting back into my uh how do I say my rant mode, right? I tend not to like usually when I have video ideas, I just pump them out very easily, but when I haven't done it in a long time, I think my head just gets too full of like uh NPC garbage, if I'm being honest. Like I have to pretend that I actually like having to hang, like these are places where I have to go, right? I have to be there. And it is exhausting. Like I end up just having so many trash thoughts in my head that I didn't want there, and I purposefully stayed away from people for that reason. But it is what it is.